Welcome back to another round of MTGA tasting notes. We're going through another one of our super tiny productions this time around, and this is going to be our single barrel St. Helena Merlot that we're getting into. This has been really one of the more fabled wines in our lineup. It has come and gone very quickly from one release to the next. Just because making one barrel and having only about 21 cases of it available, it can go pretty fast. And it is definitely a gem in our lineup. It has been a wine that I've been making since 2013. And it's such a joy to make every year. I mean, anytime I can really have some real artistic license to just take a lot of wine and say, hey, let's see just how good we can make this. I get all starry-eyed and excited, and it's what the single barrel series in our lineup allows me to do. Generally, when I'm deciding what wine is gonna end up in our single barrels, it's January of the new year, so harvest has come and gone at that point. We haven't started using any new oak just yet, and in January and into early February is when we start making those adjustments. I really like tasting through our wines when they're in essence finished. There's no fermentations going on. All kind of the major volatile processes have wrapped up or are close to wrapping up. And the wines are basically just ready for aging. And generally how I judge what wine is ready for our single barrel series is if I could bottle it right there after 3 months, it would still be a great wine. We wouldn't necessarily need to age it for another 18, 20 months or so. We could just say, all right, let's get a bottling run scheduled in February, let's get these rolling. But the joy of the aging process and throwing a little bit more new oak at these big guys is that it really adds these beautiful complexity and layers to these wines and makes them just that much better. So the Merlot, many of you are familiar with. Merlot is our flagship. It's what we do the most of. It's generally what people consider that we do best. And for that reason, that's why we started with, kind of a reserve Merlot with this wine here in 2013. This will be the 2018 release, so a few years down the line. And the only thing that's really changed over those years is the barrel selection. Every once in a while, it'll kind of flip-flop between cooperage Sylvain or Gamo. Those are the two major ones that we use for our single barrel program. And they just work wonders. They integrate so softly, so beautifully. They don't give off any of those real woody kind of characteristics. They add a lot of those chocolates and butterscotches and vanillas and a little bit of those kind of, baking spice kind of characteristics to the wine. They are super fun, and they're just so pretty when they're brand spanking new. They're all shiny and whatnot. And for Merlot, because it's such a plush variety, it's why we only use about 30% new oak on our normal Napa Valley Merlot. We don't want to hide or mask a lot of the beautiful, soft, kind of plush characteristics that Merlot has to offer. But when it comes to this guy, generally this barrel and the way it's tasting in the winter months, it's just so big and it needs that extra body. It needs those extra layers, and you have to add enough new oak to really integrate to it really, really well. So you want something with a little bit more punch, a little bit more intensity. So generally, this single barrel Merlot is 100% new French oak versus 30% that we normally use. Really helps kind of, oddly enough, balance out this wine a lot more in just this single lot rather than our Napa Valley Merlot, which we can be a little bit, lighter handed. So without further ado, I'm very, very prototypical of this wine is that it has that beautiful fruit core to it. It's like this nice, if you remember, it doesn't taste like a gusher, but those gusher like candies or whatever they were, or like fruit snacks, where it's like that pop of flavor. That's what this guy has. It has these really beautiful kind of toasty, chocolatey notes right up front from those barrel characteristics, and then it's like, boom, Merlot. It's got this nice juicy fruit to it. And then all that just combines and it just kind of rolls right down your taste buds. It's why I love this wine, is because it can be a big red that is very approachable, and you can sip during a cocktail hour. You don't need a big steak or a pasta or something to pair with this wine. It's very easy drinking on its own, despite how big and bold that it is. And frankly, that's one of the reasons why I love Merlot. You can make this really intense red wine that you don't need a food pairing for. They can be so approachable and so easy drinking that you can have some really big flavors in your glass and just be like, man, it's just easy drinking. It's very counterintuitive to what you might expect of big reds from Napa. Where you're like, oh man, this is a big red blend, a big cab, a big Merlot. We're gonna need to break out some barbecue or a steak or pasta or something to pair with this to make sure that we get the full effect. And I think that's something that I do pride myself on with these single barrel wines, is that they're these really big, intense wines that you can just enjoy. You don't have to do anything else. They're wines that you can age if you want them, but you don't have to. You can drink them. This 2018 is in essence ready to rock and roll. You can start tapping into this right now. But if you're that wine geek like I am, and you're like, you know what, I wonder what it's going to taste like in another 5 or 10 years, then you can do that as well. These wines tend to be, you can kind of make the most of them in whatever way you see fit, and really cater to your own taste buds in any way, shape, or form, because that's what they're built for. I mean, realistically, this is one of those wines that we release in February that I'm like, I thank God I get to do one of these tasting videos, because I'm gonna take this bottle home and I'm just gonna drink the rest of it. So that is perks of the job, I suppose. But I do hope that you get a chance to taste this wine, to experience some of our single barrels, including our Pinot Noir. We do also have a Cabernet Franc. That's coming soon, I promise. We're starting to get the label all finalized, and we'll get that all printed up here soon enough. These are wines that I just absolutely love to make. They're great little side projects within MTGA that I can really just run with and try and make them as good as possible. They are kind of the shining stars within the program. So I hope you have a chance to enjoy them. Be sure to check out a little bit more information on our website. Some of these can be available in our online shop as well, as long as quantities are still hanging around for purchase. But thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all the support. We'll catch you again next time.